Alright, so this is my first stream, so it's kind of weird, but yeah, I guess I'm just gonna start the account review. So, as you can see from the frame, I did manage to get Emperor last season for RTA. So I guess I'm just gonna go through the gear and the units I mostly use to, I guess, get there. As a disclaimer, I'm a completely free-to-play account. I haven't like bought any packs at all, not even like Burning Passions or like monthlies. I'm just gonna start off with my Arbiter Vildred. He recently just got a sixth copy of Basket, so I was able to plus 30 that. I used him couple times against Cleave. If they didn't really have a great way to deal with RB, I would just pick this RB. He used to be an immunity set, however, one of the matches I picked him into, he just didn't have the damage, so I switched him to crit, lowered speed a bit, and just gave him more damage. This is my Ida. I think like midway through the season, I was like kind of booming. Like I was just like losing a lot of matches. I went from like 54% win rate to like 48 or something. It was pretty bad. So then like one of my friends said like you should have just like switched to Cleave because it would be faster. So I built Ida for cleaving. This is just like the gear I could get her to with like 3500 attack, 235 speed, and 300 crit damage. I feel like it's pretty standard. This is my Caesarea. She's on pretty weird gear, like just this abyss neck, this weird ring. Not the most min-max unit, but it's like pretty decent effectiveness, okay speed, and like pretty high attack. Only thing is plus 18 artifact, which sometimes does not proc, which kind of sucks. Here's my Landy. I think she's like still pretty strong. I picked her a lot at like the last couple of days for some reason. I don't know. I just like using her, especially with like other units I'm gonna show later on. Only plus 24 Guiding Light, but even then like just doesn't proc, and sometimes I just lose from that. So I went for like a slightly faster build with a little bit more damage I had before. I would like this to be like maybe like a little bit more attack and more speed, and probably could drop a little bit of HP, but this is fine. Next on to is BBK. I currently have her on Portrait because I'm using her for like arena cleaving, but normally I would have Symbol on her. I think BBK is a very fun unit. I just like try to stack as much attack and like crit damage as I could with like some good amount of speed. The boot is just like negative gear score though, which is the problem, but can't really do much about that. I just need a better boot. It's like missing just attack, crit damage, and crit chance. Just rolls in general. But yeah, the couple of games I did pick BBK, she does work really well, especially in like some cleave teams. There's like didn't pick a unit to deal with BBK, so just having her as a last pick is pretty good. If anything, I would want to have a second BBK and just like put her on counter and high effect resistance, just as another like anti-cleave solution, because she's just like unkillable, and then when she gets her turn, she just S3s and kills everything. So that's pretty cool. Vivian and Pavel are mostly just like Vivian I just use in like Banshee and Labyrinth. Pavel is just there for a world boss. I did have him on better gear, but I had to keep like taking that gear off and putting on other people. Mercedes, I used her a couple times and she has worked pretty well. I used her on my Gilder defense. If anything, I probably I need to put yeah. If anything, I would try and get more damage on her. I feel like maybe like going on a little bit of more speed. Really I just gotta get probably just switch to crit chance set instead of immunity, and just getting higher gear score pieces, so she can just do more damage. Polly, I need to re-gear her at some point. She's missing a lot of damage. Right now just using Sierra Ren, because that's what one of my friends said is pretty good, because I only have one copy of Crown, and that's on another unit. Sometimes I pick her like this Polly into, I guess into cleave, but not really, because normally they're picking poly anyways. But I just have this as a DPS build for now. Just having her geared is not the worst. Here's my Celine. She's okay. I do need to like get more damage on her, but I've just been running out of pieces. My main problem is just rings. I'm running out of rings a lot, and also necklaces. But she's just there to nuke a unit. Kisei is for World Boss, as you can see, it's like from basically no 90 gears. Violet I would use a lot. Kind of missing some gear score in a couple of his pieces that I do want to improve later on. But I would pick him a good amount of times, to be honest. He is triple S. And still a pretty fun unit to use, and like when he works, he's like the best unit in the world. Millum I mostly just use for Guild War, to be honest. I think I used her once or twice when climbing, and she did work in some of them, so it wasn't the worst. But yeah, this is my gear, just lifesteal pen. Not a lot of bulk, to be honest, because I don't really have that much lifesteal gear. Adventure Ras is just PvE. Celestial Mercedes PvE, Tomahawk's World Boss. Carrot, I sometimes would use her like against Bellions when that used to be a strategy in the beginning. Kind of had to nerf her to make my CC area better, so this is what she is right now. Super high defense, but like no HP and like semi-fast. I don't like the fact that her attack is not 4K though, it's just a bit under that. Next one to Rimuru. Before, he was pretty bad, to be honest. He had like no gear score, but then I just like used tribbles and got him to this. So it's like not the worst. It's got like okay damage, some pretty good bulk, and then some okay speed, so not the worst. Crozet was basically my main anti-cleave tank, especially with Bastion, because I normally pair him up with a Violet. Since my Violet's on pen set, I use Bastion to give him immunity, so pretty good to like CC area cleaves and that kind of stuff. Right now, I still have him on counter E-res, because I'm running out of speed E-res stuff, because a bunch of different Soul Weavers are using that. But I probably will get him onto a speed set one eventually, because I don't really like him being this slow. But he's got some pretty decent bulk and a good amount of E-res, so he can resist a lot of stuff, which is pretty nice. Estene, I currently still have her on lifesteal immunity. I picked her a lot. Sometimes when I'd be on like Bellion, and often pick her as a 4th pick. If anything, I would want some imprints and maybe switch to a crit set, or switch her to a speed set with crit, just for like more damage and maybe a little bit more bulk. Design her a little bit. When she came out, I used my pity on her because I thought she would be like a pretty good unit against like the meta Guild War defense team with like Cerise and F10A, but that's not really around anymore, so she did kind of fall off until her buff, and that made her pretty good. Often I would pick her and like Rimuru back to back, or her and Conquer Lilies back to back, so I'd use her a lot. So I did become a little bit abuser toward the end of the season when she got buffed, because she was just pretty good. Shuri I just used as a speed imprint in a regular arena. This is my CC. She's currently S imprint. Before, like she had no imprints actually. Like for the longest time she had no imprints until like this 2-week period where I got a bunch of fire CCs and SCC dupes. So I got some pretty good HP subs on her. So I think if I get like another imprint, at least at SSS, she'll be 32k HP. So I do like her on this tankier build, because the 2 times I've seen like Straze come in, my FCC was able to survive. Then again, those Strazes didn't have attack buff, but this one Straze still did like 30k to her, and she was able to tank in just immediately S3, so that was pretty good. But yeah, I just use this in both like my arena defense, and I would pick her a lot in RTA too, just to give my team more survivability. This is my Violet. He is on attack boots, but they rolled pretty good, so I thought this would be pretty good build for him. I did also roll this 21 speed ring and that I have on him. I do like the Violet build because he does do a good amount of damage, and I probably picked him a lot more than I probably should have. He is currently my highest gear score unit on my account according to Fribbles, which is pretty interesting. And to Conquer Lilius, pretty much I was like 16 away from Pity when she came out, so I just immediately summoned her and just tried to put the fastest gear I had on her, which is 299. A lot of like the speed gear that I rolled earlier, well, that I rolled like after, like this 23 speed helmet and this 23 speed. Actually no, this one I had before, but it was a crit set 5 defense. But I think it was this sword I also rolled after I got her. So yeah, a bunch of wasted stats, but that's mostly due to just like not having a large quantity of speed gear in general. So like I could probably work on this boot, but I don't have that many boots, to be honest. Ruel, I sometimes use her. I had to nerf her a bit to make my Amelia better. This is what she's at right now. I think this is a pretty standard Ruel. Carmen, this is what I use if like they take FCC or FCC's pre-banned, which a couple people did pick. The only problem is like this is a defense ring, but it's got some like decent rolls. I would like this to be HP percent though, because that way like she doesn't like Aureus doesn't like kill her a lot faster, and like the Violets don't do as much damage, or just use this on Pensa do as much damage. But yeah, really main thing I have to work on is just maybe increasing E-res by a bit and just bulk in general. SSB, I haven't changed her gear in so long. She's still on double crit immunity. Right now I just don't have the lifesteal gear to switch her over to a lifesteal build. So that is one thing I do need to work on. I mean, she worked a couple times, and the times I picked her, however on lifesteal would have been way better because she would have been able to survive more and just do more damage. Here's my Pyrrha. She's 295. Normal I do have Oath Key on her. However, I put her on a friendship artifact when I'm doing adventure. So just my second fastest gear with 295 with like a good amount of HP and decent effectiveness. So yeah, I picked her a good amount like in the beginning, like when she kind of first came out, but not so much toward the end because I was mostly picking like Conquer Lilius or Rimuru first. But I think she's still a very strong unit, to be honest. Like her better Aureus with just attack buff on everyone is still pretty good, and even like just her own dark is pretty good. Here's my Amelia. If anything, I do need to. She's missing like 50 effect resistance, and like 3 speed. So I do need to roll better gear and just like probably go down a couple HP rolls to get that E-res up. But don't really have that much like necklaces in general that can like substitute this. So it's flat HP instead, and then kind of had to I'm forced to use this, even though it's just missing a whole entire roll. With that wasted flat attack, she still like works a lot. I will use her. I did pick her a lot, to be honest. Like Guardian Crystal has saved me many times. If anything, it'll just be the fact that I'm just missing a couple of rolls. Here's my Charlotte. She used to be on Symbol, but then I moved that to BBK. I had to nerf her a bit to make my BBK better. So I got a lot of wasted crit and a lot slower than before, but I think I already picked her like twice and she worked pretty well. Still not sure about Spirit of the New Dawn. It just doesn't do the same amount of damage as Symbol does. I still like Charlotte. I still use her in raid most of the time. Here's my Rem. I used to mostly just use her on arena defense. I picked her a couple of times, I guess, against Cleave, but not so much I think toward the end. But when Rem works, she works really well, able to just decimate teams. But when she just stands there and does nothing, it's kind of feels bad. But yeah, this is my Rem gear. She is A imprint, so able to get a little bit more crit chance easily. Here's my second poly. Normally I have her on Abyssal Crown, but when I'm like farming adventure or something, I'll have her on this. Plus, I'm not logged into Arena yet because I'm right now climbing for top 30 frame. It's fine, like with this build. I had to take off a bunch of like E-res pieces from mostly my maid Chloe. Got the 214 E-res. It's like I don't know. It's just an ER poly on my arena defense. Degen RB. To be honest, I actually use them a lot in at least in arena offenses. Like if someone has like a cleave defense with like a Ran or Beer Up, I'll just pick him into there because he can just tank stuff and then just come back and help kill the team. I used him I think once or twice and against Cleve and RTA as well, and there was this one match where like they picked BBK, so I just picked Degen RB, and I knew that they wouldn't be able to kill him, so he'd just be able to come back and just wipe the BBK. Here's my LQC, mostly on a damage build. I might try and like lower the crit chance a bit more to increase the bulk. I also just got to get better a better neck and sword, so I gotta work on her a bit more, but she does work pretty well. Probably have to plus 15 this, to be honest, because just missing 15% damage on that S1 does suck a bit, because sometimes she just wouldn't kill a unit when she could have. Here's my Flan. I didn't really pick her much in RTA, but I do use her a lot on arena offenses, especially when cleaving. If anything, I would want her to be faster, like maybe a little bit more bulk. I probably will 6-star here soon, but with Emma Flan coming out, I'm saving the Flan that I have in my waiting room. But I think, yeah, that's pretty much it for the units that I used in RTA. I should also probably show the units I didn't have when climbing. So I didn't have Ran, which I didn't have Lermia. I didn't have Balian, Iravi, Kaurik, ADS, or AOL. It's like a lot of the units are like pretty strong this season. I just sadly didn't have, but I was still able to make it the Emperor.